Ahoy, me hearties! Welcome aboard the SS Ridiculous, where we're about to embark on an epic voyage across the high seas of hilarity. I'm Matt from Cruise Ship Safety and Security. Although I now work on cruise ships, I have been on the water since I was 3, which is a good number of years that I'm not giving away. Now don't be afeard, this ain't no regular ship. Oh no, this be a ship full of laughter, seasickness and more pirate phrases than you can shake a wooden leg at. And let me tell you, we're about to get so piratey you'll think you've crossed into the Caribbean's wildest theme park, so grab your rum or maybe ginger ale, depending on your age. And get ready to hoist your sails for a trip through some of the most iconic pirate sayings known to the 7 seas. Ever wondered what it really means to shiver me timbers, or why pirates yell walk the plank when they're feeling particularly dramatic? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deeper into the world of pirates than a sailor who's had one too many grogs. Now, I've got this here map, and no, it ain't a treasure map, but more like a treasure chest of lingo. And believe me, we're about to find some linguistic gold that'll make ye laugh harder than a parrot in a tickle fight. We'll discover what phrases like Jolly Roger and Scallywag really mean, why pirates loved yelling things like ahoy to each other like they were having an endless sea party, and the not-so-glamorous reality of walking the plank. Spoiler alert, it's not just about fashionable wooden footwear. So gather you round, you salty sea dogs. We're not just sailing through the turbulent waters of pirate lingo. Oh no. We're about to plunder a treasure chest of knowledge, find new meanings in old phrases, and most importantly, have a good old pirate laugh along the way. And remember, the more you laugh, the more pirate-like you become. It's science, or something like it. Me parrot's even ready for this adventure. Right, squawkers, say hello to the crew. That's the spirit, squawkers. Now, without further ado, let's set sail into the world of pirate phrases. And trust me, you don't want to be the landlubber who misses out on this seafaring journey of wordplay. Nothing a quick ahoy won't fix. Now let's get started before the sea takes us. Arr! All right, let's kick things off with the classic pirate phrase, shiver me timbers. Now this one is as piratey as it gets. It's used to express shock, surprise or disbelief. But where does it come from? Well, back in the day, ships were made of wooden planks called timbers. If a ship got hit by a cannonball or caught in a storm, those timbers would shake violently, and the pirate would be shaken to his core. So when something shocking happens, it's like the timbers of your ship are trembling with you. Pirates would shout, shiver me timbers, when something was so wild or unexpected that it left them stunned. Picture a pirate staring wide-eyed at a monster wave or a ghost ship, bellowing that line in shock. It's the ultimate dramatic exclamation for moments that make your heart skip a beat. Today, even though pirates aren't around anymore, shiver me timbers is still a fun way to react when something surprises you, whether you're dealing with a bad day or just something ridiculously outrageous. It's like the ultimate pirate version of saying, no way. So next time you're caught off guard, just shout, shiver me timbers, and you'll instantly feel like you've stepped into a pirate adventure. Let's talk about the phrase 3 sheets to the wind, which means being completely drunk. But it's got some sailing routes. A sheet is a rope used to control a sail, and if the sheets are loose, the sail flaps around uncontrollably. So imagine a ship drifting aimlessly because its sheets are out of control. That's what a drunk sailor is like. When someone is 3 sheets to the wind, they're stumbling around totally out of balance, just like a ship with loose sails. If you've ever been at a party and suddenly can't remember how you got to the dance floor, you've probably been 3 sheets to the wind. It's the perfect way to describe someone who's had one too many and isn't quite in control anymore. When you find yourself knee-deep in a mess, you might say you've got a boatload of trouble. The phrase comes from the idea that a boat can only hold so much before it sinks under pressure. And when you're dealing with a ton of problems, it feels like you've got that much weight on your shoulders. Picture this: a pirate ship caught in a massive storm, with rain, winds and waves threatening to capsize the ship. That's a boatload of trouble. You're barely hanging on, with danger on every side. In modern life, it's a great way to describe too many problems piling up at once, from work stress to a broken car to spilling coffee all over yourself. It's like a tsunami of trouble coming at you. So, next time you're in a rough spot, just say, I've got a boatload of trouble. And remember, if pirates can survive the high seas, you can survive whatever storm you're facing. The phrase, "get the wind out of your sails," comes from sailing. When a ship's sails are filled with wind, it glides forward, powered and moving smoothly. But if you take the wind out of those sails, the ship loses speed and comes to a standstill. It's like when something happens in life that drains your energy or kills your excitement, suddenly you're left feeling deflated and stuck. Let's say you've got a brilliant idea or plan, but when you pitch it to someone, they shoot it down. That's the wind being taken out of your sails, or maybe you've been looking forward to a fun outing, and then the weather turns stormy, leaving you feeling bummed out. Your motivation and enthusiasm just vanish, and it feels like you're stuck in place, just like a ship with no wind to guide it forward. But the good news, just like a ship can catch the wind again, you can regain your energy. Whether it's taking a break, shifting gears, or just recharging, you'll find a way to fill those sails back up and keep moving forward. Now let's talk about the phrase, "run a tight ship." And no, we're not talking about organizing a luxurious yacht party. This one has serious maritime roots. When someone says they run a tight ship, they're referring to how well organized, efficient, and controlled their operations are. Just like a ship that's carefully managed and tightened up so nothing goes wrong. Back in the day, sailors had to ensure their ships were well maintained and organized. Every rope, sail, and barrel had a specific place, and nothing could be left to chance. If a ship was poorly run, it could fall apart, get stuck in a storm, or even sink. A tight ship was one that was efficiently managed, where everything ran like a well-oiled machine, and every crew member knew their role and performed it without fail. If you were captaining a ship and you were known for running a tight ship, it meant you had everything in order. Your crew was well trained, your supplies were well stocked, and your voyage was smooth sailing. This saying was often used to describe a leader who was organized, who demanded excellence, and made sure no task was left unattended. In modern life, if you say someone runs a tight ship, you're complimenting them on how well they manage things, whether it's a business, a team, or even just a personal project. They know how to keep everything on track, avoid chaos, and make sure things get done efficiently. Imagine a boss who has everything in order, who knows where everything is and who does what at exactly the right time. No mess, no disorganization. Everything's planned, structured, and functioning smoothly. That's running a tight ship. So whether it's the workplace, a family, or even a school project, if you want things to run smoothly, take a lesson from the sailors and run a tight ship. The phrase "below deck" comes from the lower levels of a ship, where all the behind-the-scenes work took place. While the action above deck, like sailing and battling storms, was what everyone saw, the real work was happening below deck. This is where the crew would sleep, repair the ship, store supplies, and sometimes even hold prisoners. It was a cramped, dark, and often uncomfortable space, but absolutely essential for keeping the ship afloat. In today's world, the term "below deck" is used more figuratively to describe the things that happen out of sight. Think of it as everything that goes on behind the scenes, whether it's planning, organizing, or working on things that aren't immediately visible to others. For example, managing a project, handling logistics, or even doing prep work for a big event. Those are all examples of work happening below deck. So whether it's on a ship or in your everyday life, below deck refers to the essential but unseen work that makes everything else run smoothly. It's where the true action happens, just out of sight from the public eye. The phrase "the coast is clear." It sounds like something you'd say when you're about to dive into action, but it actually comes from naval history. And no, it doesn't mean the beach is free of people. In fact, it's a phrase that goes back to the days of pirates and naval ships. Sailors would use it to signal that there were no enemies or dangers in sight, and that it was safe to approach or move forward. The term originally referred to the coastline. If it was clear, that meant there were no enemy ships, dangerous reefs, or hidden obstacles waiting to ruin your journey. Imagine a pirate ship trying to sneak past an enemy port. If they couldn't see any threats on the horizon, they'd shout, "The coast is clear," so the crew would know it was safe to move forward without risking an attack. It was basically a signal of safety, letting everyone know it was time to proceed with caution or advance boldly, depending on the situation. In today's world, we use the phrase to mean that danger has passed and it's safe to go ahead with whatever you're planning, whether you're sneaking around, waiting for the perfect time to make your move, or just waiting for things to settle down. If someone says the coast is clear, you know it's time to go for it. For example, imagine you're at work and you've been waiting for the boss to leave the office so you can make a personal phone call. When the coast is clear, you've got the green light to go ahead without worrying about getting caught. Or maybe you're sneaking into a surprise party. You'd wait until the coast is clear, meaning you're waiting for the moment when everyone else is distracted or out of sight. So whether you're hiding from a boss or making a daring escape, the coast is clear is the perfect phrase to use when danger has passed and it's finally safe to move forward. It's your green light to proceed with your plan, mission, or even your cheeky little adventure. Alright, let's talk about the phrase shipshape and Bristol fashion. It's one of those phrases that might sound a little fancy, but once you understand it, it's a perfect way to describe something that's organized, clean, and in tip-top condition. So, where does it come from? The phrase shipshape is actually a nautical term that originally referred to how a ship needed to be in perfect condition. Everything had to be organized and secure to make sure the ship could sail smoothly. If a ship wasn't shipshape, it was considered unfit for the seas. This wasn't just about tidying up, it was about making sure everything on board was ready for action, whether that meant the sails were in good condition or the crew was well prepared for a journey. Now let's throw in the word Bristol. And you might be wondering, why Bristol? Well, Bristol is a city in the UK that had a reputation for being home to some of the best shipbuilders in the world, particularly back in the 18th and 19th centuries. The ships built in Bristol were known for being well crafted and exceptionally well maintained, both on the exterior and below deck. So when someone said a ship was in Bristol fashion, it meant the ship was in top-notch condition, especially when it came to the craftsmanship and attention to detail that made those ships stand out. Together, shipshape and Bristol fashion came to mean that something was not only well organized, but also exceptionally well maintained. Whether it's your house, your workspace, or even your personal life. If you want to say something is in perfect order, you could describe it as being shipshape and Bristol fashion. It's a way to say that every detail has been attended to and that things are running smoothly. Think of it like this. You've got a room that's perfectly organized, nothing out of place. Everything has its spot and it looks like it could be featured in a magazine. That's shipshape and Bristol fashion. Or maybe you're looking at a well-run business. Everything from the finances to the staffing to the product quality is operating like a well-oiled machine. That's also shipshape and Bristol fashion. So next time you want to praise someone for their meticulous organization or the perfect condition of something, you can say it's in shipshape and Bristol fashion. It's a way of saying this is top tier, no detail has been missed, and it's all in perfect order, just like the finest ships of Bristol. The phrase 3 sheets to the wind is one of those sayings that definitely sounds like it comes from a pirate ship or the world of sailing, and you'd be right. So what does it actually mean, and why 3 sheets? Let's break it down. In sailing, the sheets are the ropes or lines used to control a ship's sails. They determine how tight or loose the sails are, which in turn affects the speed and direction of the ship. If a ship is in full sail, it means the sheets are properly adjusted to catch the wind and propel the ship forward. But if the sheets are loose, or even worse, flapping in the wind, the ship isn't going anywhere fast. The sails can start flapping wildly, causing the ship to drift aimlessly, often in the wrong direction. In this case, the ship is said to be 3 sheets to the wind. In other words, it's out of control and drifting because the sails are all messed up. Now, imagine a person who's had a bit too much to drink. They're swaying, stumbling around, and just generally not in control of their movements. That's what it means to be 3 sheets to the wind. You're drunk and you're stumbling around aimlessly like a ship caught in a storm with its sails flapping about. The phrase isn't just about being tipsy, it's about being so far gone that you're almost completely out of control, like a ship that's lost all its direction. The 3 part of the phrase is thought to come from how many sheets were required to make a ship truly unmanageable. 1 sheet loose could mean the ship is just off course a little, 2 sheets might be worse, but 3 sheets? That's when the ship is totally adrift, completely out of control. It's like the metaphorical point of no return in a drinking session, when you've had enough that it's hard to keep it together and you're well into the territory of overindulgence. In modern times, we still use the phrase to describe someone who's pretty far gone after a few too many drinks. Imagine your friend at a party who's clearly had a bit more to drink than they can handle. They might be swaying, chatting nonsense, or knocking into walls. That's when you'd say they're 3 sheets to the wind. And while it's a humorous way to describe someone's state, it also paints a vivid picture of someone who's lost their bearings, just like a ship with its sails out of control. So the next time you see someone stumbling or slurring their words, you can confidently say they're 3 sheets to the wind, because they're as lost and directionless as a ship with no sails to guide it. It's a fun and colourful way to call out someone who might have overdone it, all while keeping the nautical theme alive. Next up, we've got all hands on deck, a phrase that's as commanding as it is helpful. So what does it mean, and where does it come from? Let's set sail into its origins. Back in the days of sailing ships, the term hands didn't just refer to your literal hands. It referred to the crew members on board the ship. A ship was essentially its own little community, with everyone assigned to a particular role. There were people to handle the sails, the rudder, the rigging, and those who were on lookout, among others. But when things got hectic, whether it was a storm, a battle, or just general chaos on deck, the captain would shout, "All hands on deck!" This meant that every crew member, no matter what their regular job was, needed to drop everything and pitch in to help. It wasn't just a suggestion, it was a call to action. If the ship was in trouble, there was no time to waste. Everyone, from the captain to the lowest-ranking sailor, had to run to the deck and help out with whatever needed doing, whether that meant handling the sails, managing the ropes, or even fending off enemy ships. The phrase "all hands on deck" became synonymous with a unified effort. It was a way of saying everyone needs to help out. We've got a big task, and we can't do it unless we all work together. This wasn't just for emergencies, though. It was also used when there was a big project or important task at hand and everyone needed to come together to get it done. In modern terms, all hands on deck means exactly that. Everybody needs to get involved, even if it's outside their usual responsibilities. It's used in situations where everyone must pitch in to handle a problem or achieve a goal. Picture a workplace where things are chaotic, whether it's a tight deadline, a team crisis, or a major event. The boss might say, "All right, all hands on deck," to rally everyone together to tackle the challenge. The phrase is also applicable in the context of family life, group projects, or even community efforts. If there's a big challenge and the team is under pressure, calling for all hands on deck means there's no time to sit around or wait for others to act. Everybody needs to chip in, whether you're an expert in the task at hand or not. Everyone is a vital part of the process. So, next time you're in the middle of a big task, whether it's organizing a party, launching a new business project, or trying to get through a hectic family situation, don't hesitate to call for all hands on deck. It's the ultimate rallying cry that says, "We need everybody's help to get this done." And just like on a ship, when everyone pitches in, you're much more likely to succeed. Well, mates. That's a wrap on part 1 of our wild ride through pirate sayings. We've learned what it really means to walk the plank, got some blimey-worthy surprises along the way, and even discovered that pirates have a special flair for turning the most basic phrases into legendary sayings. From shocking exclamations to the ultimate punishment, these sayings didn't just make pirates fearsome, they made them downright memorable. But don't worry, the fun isn't over yet. Part 2 is right around the corner, and it's packed with even more pirate gold, a treasure trove of sayings, terms, and outlandish expressions that'll have you shouting "Ah!" in no time. So grab your eye patches, sharpen those cutlasses, and get ready for another deep dive into the wacky world of pirate talk. We've got even more bizarre and hilarious expressions to explore, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. But before we set sail for part 2, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can join us for more pirate hilarity. We need you, our crew, to make this ship sail. So stay tuned and let's set sail for part 2 of this pirate adventure. Ready to continue the madness? Aye, Captain. Let's go.